One ridiculous thing that is being put out is the Fifth Amendment doesn't protect you outside of invoking your Fifth Amendment rights, um, which I find ridiculous. But all the time, in every case, the First Amendment protects you. Somebody's going to argue. How can I argue for silence from a First Amendment stance? Easy. Very fucking easy. Outside of a courtroom where you have rules and regulations regarding your speech, a courtroom where you must respect the judge, you must dress a certain way, etc., etc., etc. The only reason is because the courtroom gets its authority from the Constitution. Okay? Outside of a courtroom, outside of an investigation, outside of all of this nonsense, you cannot be incriminated for criticism of the government. You cannot be incriminated for criticism of other people, especially honest criticism. Okay? You cannot be incriminated for your words, especially your honest words. Okay. That being said, you cannot be compelled to speak. The government cannot come to you and say, I need you to say that the government's doing good. Hey, CNN, I need you to say that the government's doing good. Because that would violate your freedom of speech too. So since you cannot be compelled to speak, the First Amendment effectively protects your silence. The words used are freedom of speech, not freedom to speak, freedom of speech. Silence is a way of speaking and saying, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to answer questions. And under investigation, my silence should be invoking that. That is my freedom of speech invoking my Fifth Amendment rights. And having ignorance of your rights doesn't incriminate you, doesn't reduce your rights. All Americans have the same rights, whether you know all of your rights or you don't know all your rights. You just have to have a good lawyer who knows your fucking rights. And so, whilst the Supreme Court is doing all this dancing around the Fifth Amendment, the First Amendment already establishes the fact that we can be silent, especially not during an investigation. If a cop comes and says, do you want a bottle of water? And you say nothing, you're not, there's no probable cause for anything. Because with your silence, you're expressing, with your absence of expressing, you're expressing that you don't want to talk to them. That you don't want to say a fucking word. And so, whilst the Supreme Court is dancing around the Fifth Amendment, the First Amendment already establishes that you can't be convicted for your speech or lack thereof. I cannot be compelled to speak, therefore silence is protected as well. Not just my freedom to speak. And furthermore, this is exactly correlated with the fact that you can be an atheist. You can't be compelled to have any kind of faith. That you must, at the bare minimum, have any kind of faith by the government. And since you can't be compelled to have any kind of faith established by the freedom of religion, that is the word it's used, the freedom to express religion, that is the word it's used. And since you're allowed to be an atheist, a skeptic, absent of belief, and the Constitution establishes that is protected, then your silence by the First Amendment is fucking protected. And I would ask the Supreme Court to revisit this. And I'm asking with my fucking freedom of speech.